When people talk about first-person shooters these days, a few different titles come to mind. You might think of Call of Duty, Battlefield, Crysis, maybe a few others. But even when they're vastly different in both quality and style of play, they share a similar feeling. The feeling of the modern shooter. To quantify that concept properly would require a video of its own, so I'm just here to tell you one thing. Tribes Ascend does not feel like a modern shooter, and for that, I love it. Oh, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of ideas from the shooters you know and love, or perhaps have grown to hate, but this is most definitely Tribes. And if you don't know or remember what Tribes is, then this video is for you. If you already know, why aren't you playing it? Before we dig deeper, let me remind you that this is simply my first impressions after just a few days. Whether I continue to love this game as time goes on, I feel is totally irrelevant because I've already gotten my money's worth. That's not saying much as the game is totally free, but wasted time can be just as bad as wasted cash. First, a quick introduction to Tribes. The Tribes series was started in 1998 by Dynamics of Sierra Entertainment. There have been lots of Tribes games over the years, but the only two I'm familiar with are Star Siege Tribes and its sequel, Tribes 2. I haven't played the series in several years, but this is definitely the game I remember. High-speed action whether you're on foot, in a vehicle, or skiing like a madman down a mountainside. Tribes, to me, has always been about embracing the insanity of video games. Tribes Ascend is no different. While the Tribes I remember was developed by Dynamics, Ascend was developed by hi-rez Studios, whose first and as of this recording only game release was Global Agenda. Tribes Ascend is still in closed beta after all. Global Agenda was met with mixed reactions. I personally enjoyed the game from time to time and got plenty of hours sunk into it, but its shooting elements felt subpar, almost unfinished, and the melee combat to me was the best part of the game. I'll go into this a bit more later on. Before we go into anything else, I'd like to point out that all footage you're seeing here is just me playing the game over maybe the course of an hour. I've edited out some of the slower parts, because I like to ski around a lot and ruin the game for my team, but largely what you see is what you get. You ski, which is exactly what it sounds like, except you don't actually have a pair of skis, you go fast, and you kill stuff. Now, the reason I love the Tribes style of gameplay so much is that you're not stuck in a corridor, you're not restricted to a horribly slow movement speed if you're not in a vehicle, and best of all, you've got a jetpack. To me, Tribes is as much about platforming as it is about shooting. That works out great for me, as platforming titles just happen to be my favorite. Using and abusing your momentum and knowing how to use the enemies against him is one of my favorite parts of the game. No matter how good you are, eventually gravity makes you a target. In this manner, a lot of Tribes combat is like a game of cat and mouse, with one player skiing backwards at Mach 5 while another chases him, making for extremely fun and extremely cool battles that are both satisfying and fair. Oh, and while I may have only mentioned 2 players, it's not uncommon to have dozens of people in a mosh pit of pure unadulterated first-person shooter madness that made me a fan of the genre way back in my Quake days. You may have noticed by now that all of this footage is from a single game mode, Team Deathmatch. That's all I've played so far. No vehicles, no real objectives, just kill enemies and, in a fun little twist, try to hold on to the flag for your team, which makes every kill your team gets count as 2 kills. There's 2 other modes, Rabbit and Capture the Flag, which I cannot wait to start. That I made this video without even looking at these modes, the vehicles that may be present within them, or even trying out another class, is a testament to how much I've enjoyed the title so far. I never once felt like I was missing anything, or that any other class or player had an unfair advantage over me. The entire time I played, I was simply entertained. That entertainment came largely from the core combat, and that, I think, is where Ascend manages to hold my interest over Global Agenda. Global Agenda often employed little gimmicks to try to change things up because unfortunately the core gameplay only held up on its own for so long. It didn't get its hooks in you like other shooters. Ascend does. It harkens back to games of the Quake 3 era and manages to incorporate just enough of a modern twist to keep you busy, but without ever cluttering up the game proper. As this is not a review of any sort, it can't be totally comprehensive. I've only played the game for a few days after all, and have barely scratched the surface. Needless to say, there's different classes, which you can unlock by earning tokens when you complete matches, or by purchasing gold on hi-rez's online shop. You can earn perks, of which 2 at a time can be equipped. You can spend experience points, also earned from completing matches, whether you win or lose, on permanent upgrades for whatever class you're currently playing. These are straight up upgrades. Things such as hold more ammo, have a little more health, regen health sooner, etc. They're not terribly hard to unlock, but they do mean that players who have played a specific class longer will have quite a decked out character in comparison to one just starting out. That said, I never felt once that anyone was more powerful than me, or that I had been left behind or was a liability to my team. While at the same time, I appreciated the upgrades I did unlock and felt their impact right away. It sounds silly to say it, but you'll love the upgrades without hating them. There's more to the system than that, such as purchasing a boost for enhanced experience and token gains, but if you're at all familiar with Global Agenda or even World of Tanks, it won't be too foreign to you. It's free to play, but as others have said, it's most definitely not pay to win. You can pay for the convenience of unlocking things faster if that's what you want to do, but from what I've seen, absolutely everything in the game can be unlocked within a reasonable amount of playtime. This is most certainly not World of Tank's high-tier grind, where players often spend months, even when boosted, grinding out their tier towards their next tank. Now, if you want to unlock all there is to see in the game, that's another story, but if you set your sights on a class you want to play, and have at it, you'll have access before you know it. That's really all I have to say about the game so far. It's a great game, I had a lot of fun with it, I'm still having a lot of fun with it, and I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching, and give the game a shot. It's free to play, for crying out loud.